Hello and welcome to another one of our videos on Kenpo's self-defense techniques. My name's Andy Seetherton and I'm the Senior Instructor for Combat Fusion Martial Art. In this video we're going to be looking at the technique striking Serpent's Head. This is the final technique in the 16 technique groupings that our students require for promotion to Orange Belt. This is one of our bear hug techniques. Our opponent will attempt to attack from the front with an underarm bear hug. We'll look at this technique from 3 different perspectives without a partner to give you a clear view of the movements. Then we'll break it down on a move-for-move basis, talk about some of the concepts involved in it, discuss how it gets its name, and then look at some of the intricacies you can change to make the technique work for you. Once we've done that, we'll move on to our 3 variations at the end, and then we'll finish the video. So let's have a look at striking Serpent's Head. As our opponent attacks with an attempted underarm front bear hug, step back into a neutral bow to stabilize your base and aid in the absorption of his forward momentum. Simultaneously with this step, deliver a horizontal inward back knuckle with your lead arm and a cocking back elbow with your rear arm. The cocking back elbow pin checks our opponent's arm to our body, whilst the horizontal inward back knuckle strike to his tempo sandwiches his head between the weapon and our body. The structure of the back knuckle has the wrist bent up, causing the knuckles to protrude high. This then facilitates the knuckle of the index finger to be used with the application of pinpoint effect. From this position, maintain the elbow pinning check whilst your lead hand converts to a grasp to our opponent's hair. Immediately pull back on his hair, ensuring you anchor your elbow in the process. This will also result in the compression of our opponent's spine, anchoring his stance in place. Although in the ideal phase we grasp the fringe hairline to give the maximum effort, sometimes things don't go our way. In cases like this, we have to think on the fly and adapt quickly. For instance, by using the eye sockets, or the ear, or if available, the beard. Maybe a prefix would help, or the use of a ponytail. No matter what comes our way, attempt to make a bad situation work for you. Once we have our opponent's head anchored down onto his spine and the next target has been exposed, pivot into a forward bow and deliver a snapping half fist to our opponent's throat, immediately returning to a neutral bow as we retract the half fist from its target. This weapon and its snapping action resembles a snake striking at its prey, hence the name given to this technique is striking Serpent's Head. The formation of the half fist is literally that, half a normal fist, but using the middle knuckles as the striking surface. Although the base technique calls for a forward bow at this point, we should ask if it is needed at all, when considering distance to target and also the fragility of that target. And obviously other weapon options should be considered. At this point we will now proceed on to the extension to striking Serpent's Head. If you do not require it at your stage of training, you may wish to bypass the next section of this video. Following the retraction of the snapping half fist, drag your lead foot back into a 45-degree cat stance as we simultaneously deliver a vertical downward claw to our opponent's face with our lead hand. Your rear hand is placed in a position of check. Our opponent's reaction to the claw is to attempt to protect his face. Use this reaction to your advantage as you sidestep with your lead foot transitionally from the cat stance into a horse stance, simultaneously grabbing your opponent's wrist. Immediately step forward and into a neutral bow, using your lead knee to buckle the inner knee of your opponent's leading leg. Time the completion of this step and buckle with a lead arm inward elbow to his rib cage or sternum. Immediately after the inward elbow unbuckle, have your lead leg step around and behind the buckled leg as you feed your leading arm under your opponent's arm, coming up to grip at the rear of his shoulder or collar. At this point, our opponent should be off balance. However, do not just rely on this. You may find it hard to grasp to his rear if he has regained his balance and posture. Utilize your shoulder backed up by your body mass to aid in keeping your opponent off balance, thereby making the shoulder grab easier to acquire. Now, having your opponent's balance compromised, fuse both arms to your body mass, pulling down with them as you drop into a wide kneel stance. Your opponent's spine should land perpendicular to the thigh of your lead leg. Now release the grip on your opponent's wrist, having that hand pin check on his chest, as you circle your lead hand up above your head to deliver a vertical downward torquing hammer fist to your opponent's heart. To maximize the effect of this strike, time the hammer fist to impact its target a split second after you remove your knee from under your opponent's spine. This strike should make impact just as your opponent starts to fall to the floor. Finish off with a downward looping roundhouse kick to your opponent's face, timed to make contact as his head bounces up from its impact with the floor. From here, front crossover and cover out.
Hello and welcome back. So now we're going to move on to our first variation. In this one, as we do the initial step back and defense with the inward back knuckle, our opponent becomes aware of what we're trying, and he slips his head out from underneath our back knuckle before it makes contact with his temple. From here, we have to graft parting wings to alternating maces to finish out on this technique, but you'll note that alternating maces is executed on the opposite side. Okay, and now for variation number 2. In this one, we're going to get through the base and we're going to enter into the extension. But as we go into the extension and we're going to step through into our opponent's leg as we do the inward elbow, ready to step round behind him, we find that our impact causes our opponent's leg to move away from us, so making the step round impractical. So from here, we just simply switch into circles of protection. Okay, so now let's move on to our third and final variation. In this one, we're going to get all the way through to the point when we're ready to step round behind our opponent. Now you remember in the video I said at this point it's very important to make sure your opponent's posture is compromised. But here we haven't achieved that, so our opponent is still upright. So he has the strength and the ability to resist our step through by pushing towards us with his arm. We simply use a movement to deflect the arm above our head and then continue the residual movement from that deflection to allow us to move into leaping crane. Okay, so that's the end of another video and the end of our Orange Belt syllabus. Remember, at Combat Fusion, we work the 16 technique syllabus, so some of you guys out there who are working the larger groupings may find that when we progress on to our Purple Belt syllabus, your Orange Belt stuff will still be contained within there. So do look at our Purple Belt information if you're still studying for your Orange Belt, because you'll find some of the information in that is applicable to you. So, as usual, I'm just going to ask you not to forget to share the video and give it a like, and also if you haven't done so already, don't forget to subscribe to our channel. So I'll see you on the next video, which will then be our Purple Belts. This is Andy Seathern saying good night.